Evgeny Beloshakin, his third year in the World Junior Tournament. If he wasn't here playing in this tournament, his usual team is the Red Army that just toured across Canada. He's a good goalkeeper. Another good goalkeeper, the starter for Team Canada, Craig Billington. He's been very hot in this tournament. 3 wins, no losses. Terry Simpson said before the game he feels good about Billington, but the pressure is on the youngster.
And as Craig Billington gets set, the referee tonight is Dag Olsen of Sweden. The 2 linesmen are Jeff Schell of the United States and Hidenori Nakaoka of Japan. Terry Simpson, the coach of the Canadian team, and his opposite number with the Soviet Union.
Vasilyev is the head coach for the Soviet Union. He's in his 5th year of coaching. He was an old forward, a left winger, and they say not a very good one. Don, we watched their practice this morning, and he is a mean coach. He says things right to the players' faces, yells and screams, but he got his team here. They're undefeated.
A buzz of anticipation here in the Copps Coliseum as this game gets underway. Tatarinov goes back behind his own net. And the Canadian strategy, I think, is to use the body in this first period. Loose puck in the center ice area. Tatarinov circles back into his own zone, gets it ahead to Seamak. Seamak tries to go rink wide. It's picked up by Nikonov. He tried to go in. He was knocked off the puck by Sandlak, who came back very strongly. A pass into the center ice area as Viveros had a little trouble going anywhere with it. Corson tried to help out. Knocked it ahead to Nieuwendyk. To Sandlak. His shot goes off a leg to the corner. The Canadian team using that body in the offensive zone.
Okay, you saw that first shot by Canada blocked by the Russian defenseman. They say that those defensemen will, by the time the end of the game comes around, block more shots than the goalkeeper.
And you saw there Conroy run into the Soviet player, Fedotov, behind the goal as the icing call was assessed against Canada.
Terry Simpson said the forwards have to win this hockey game for Team Canada. They have to forecheck, take the body. He feels his team is strong, but if there is a weak spot, it is on defense, mainly because they're not as tough as he thinks they should be in front of their own net.
Face off to the right of Craig Billington. He played 48 seconds of this opening period. Both teams undefeated. 5 consecutive victories. Each side has 1 game remaining. But unless this game winds up in a tie, that final outing will have no bearing. Conroy moves into the face-off circuit, comes back to the line to Keevan with a shot right on. Roberts picks it up off the boards and clears it to center ice. The Soviets do the attack again, led by Kamensky. Kamensky takes the shot. Billington makes the save, fed out front by Kamensky as he picked up the loose puck. That was picked off by Canada. A good body check there in the center ice area as Kravchuk stepped into the Canadian player Conroy. Now the Soviets drop back into their own zone. Gorgayev couldn't handle the pass in the center ice area. Alain Cote brings it in for the Canadian team. He's bodied in against the boards by Kovalev, and it's dumped out into the center ice area.
John, a lot of talk about the Canadians having to take the body. The Russians thrive on that too. They say they built this team around a North American style game, mainly because the ice surface is smaller here in Canada. They like to bump and grind themselves.
Cote was unable to hold it in at the point. He has to wait for his teammates to get onside. Salyanin bumped Murphy at the blue line, and this Soviet team will not be intimidated. I think in that victory over the United States on Sunday, the Americans may have been a little bruised and battered by the time the third period rolled around.
They certainly were, but Canada averaged 10 pounds more than each American. These 2 teams here are very evenly sized.
What an open ice hit by Peter Duras as he stepped into Tatarinov. He really held it in at center ice, and there's an icing ball against the Soviet Union. That comes with 17:48 remaining in this opening period. Seen some excellent hits by both sides in the first 2 minutes and 12 seconds of this opening period. The gold medal battle before a full house here at Copps Coliseum in Hamilton. They have established an attendance record for the World Junior Championship in this 1985-86 tournament in the Steel Town.
A lot of talk on questioning the referee and linesman for this hockey game. The referee is from Sweden, the 2 linesmen. This last play was offside by 6 or 7 feet, and the linesman didn't call it, so both teams are going to have to keep their wits about them, Don, for bad calls.
Viveros clears it out for Canada. Fedotov goes back for the Soviet Union. He hammers it off the boards, and this will be an icing call against the Soviets as Viveros touches it with 17:09 remaining in the period.
Well, we talked about open ice body checks, how important it is to keep the sticks down, the elbows down. Peter Duras caught Tatarna right here at center ice. The key player for the Soviet Union got thumped after he passed the puck, and a good clean body check by Peter Duras, property of the Winnipeg Jets. Tatarna, they say, is tough. He's fearless. We'll see if he's able to recover. That was a thumping body check.
From the opening couple of minutes of this game, John, it would appear that they are attempting to lay the body on Tatarinov, much as they did last year in Helsinki. And a couple of good hits in that game by Sandlak and Wendell Clark put the big Soviet defenseman out of the game. Now the Soviets move it out into the center ice area. Back to cover up for Canada is Moylan. He clears it into the center ice area, and it's dumped down the ice by Corson. Corson trying to work to the corner, and he's bodied in against the boards by Kravchuk. Kravchuk tried to get it out, but Canada kept it in at the point. Cote managed to keep it in. There's a whistle on the play. And there's a penalty coming up. I believe Cote is going to be going on.
I think it's a roughing call is what happened, Don. It's either Cote or maybe Sandlak. Cote, you're right. Alain Cote, 2 minutes for roughing.
So the Soviets will have a man advantage with 16:40 remaining in this opening period.
Team Canada penalty to number 20.
Cote gets the roughing penalty right near the boards as he gets body checked, and he's going to react with a punch to the face. And that's what the team management wanted his team to stay away from, are those retaliation penalties. Watch the Russians on their power play. They have 8 power play goals to this point in the tournament. They use their points, Don, a lot more than they used to last season. So that Team Canada's back in that regimented box type of play in their own zone.
The Soviets, very skillful with the man advantage as they move it around very well. Back to the line now to Kravchuk. Kravchuk plays it into Seamak. Back to Kravchuk. Over to the other side. A blast by Nikitin just sails wide. The Soviets controlling in the Canadian zone. Back to the line to Nikitin. Nikitin tried to set up. He fired it wide again. It's loose in front of the net. Cleared to the boards, and it's into the center ice area. Canada, Corson and Conroy trying to break out. Conroy dumps Kravchuk into the boards in the Soviet zone. Now Shane Corson along the boards holds it for a faceoff.
Two short-handed goals in the tournament, one by Conroy and one by Stapleton. And you can see they got the puck out of the zone rather easily there. They kept the Russians to the outside when they were killing that penalty, and that was the scouting report on the Russians. They love to use their points and shoot it from that area, much different than they did last year. And you can see their scouting report was right to the tee. 2 or 3 shots from the point, nothing in tight. The Canadians to this point have killed it off quite well.
And the Soviets don't really have one special power play unit. They throw out 5 different skaters. As a matter of fact, during the course of the game, they most often change all 5.
John, you very seldom see specialty units anywhere in Europe. The Swedish people, for instance, they just use the next unit, whether it be killing penalties or power play.
Now it's run in. A shot goes off the glove of Billington. Picked up by Scott Mellanby and cleared down the ice. Meloshikin leaves it behind the net. Dorgayev goes back to Selyanin. Fed up on the right side in the center ice area to Osipov. Osipov, who was with the Soviet under-17 team last year, the only member from that under-17 squad that toured Canada with this junior team, trying to dig it out. He gets it back to the point to Selyanin. Dorgayev at the side of the net. Kaminsky let a shot go that hit the side of the net. It's thrown out by Mellanby. One man down. Mellanby over on the wing to Stapleton. Stapleton tried to return the pass. It did not get through. Monankov for the Soviet Union, bringing it back with 12 seconds remaining in the penalty to Cote. He dumps it in and picked up there by Viveros. He finds an opening and manages to clear it down the ice, and that will kill the penalty.
Excellent penalty killing by Team Canada. Moving to the inside, Don. They kept the Russians outside all the time.
The Soviets now coming in across the Canadian line. Kovalov tried to get it in front. It bounces back of the net, and the official ruled that it was brought ahead. Canada's quest for gold at the 1986 World Junior Championship in Hamilton continues after this. Canadian supporters here at the Cox Coliseum with the flags and their faces decorated as well. And they are a very loud and supportive group of over 17,000 watching this gold medal battle between the Soviets and Canada. Fedotov, a long blast that Billington takes up on his blocker. It's cleared up along the boards, and Jeff Greenlaw, the 17-year-old with the Canadian Olympic team, dumps it out.
He dumped it out and got nailed by Tatarinov. Tatarinov plays in a league where the people are 10 years older than he is, and he puts fear into their hearts. He's a tough kid.
Kovalyov goes to the corner, loses the puck there. Murphy is bodied. He is sent flying. And Fedotov takes it against the boards and holds it for a face-off.
Now Murphy's reacting here. He's got to be careful. He got nailed. He wasn't looking. He had his head down. It was a clean check. He really got nailed. And Murphy reacted and almost took a cross-checking penalty. Davidov missed 3 months last year in Russia. He broke his leg badly. He was considered the best forward on the national under 18 years of age team. Now watch, as you're going to see Murphy get hit here. He's digging for the puck. He doesn't see the check coming, but the elbows were down. And he's got to keep himself under control.
Sokolov is the man who came in and dished out that body check. And the play is whistled down at the line on an offside call, and two players, Konstantinov and Corson, get tangled up. Feelings running very high between these two teams. It was evident this morning when the two sides followed each other in their morning workout.
The Russian Hockey Club were on for their morning skate, and the Canadian players were sitting on the bench, and a little verbal abuse, glares at each other. Not much love lost, of course. This Russian team, Don, lots of experience. They have 10 returning players from last year's squad that played in Finland. The Canadian club has 4 returning players, so the experience level lies in the favor of the Russians.
Well, neither the Soviets nor the Canadians have any hope of winning the fair play trophy in this tournament. I'm not concerned about that one as much as winning the gold medal. The Soviets, the most penalized team in the tournament. Canada ranks 4th in penalty minutes. Back to the line, a blast, but that is deflected wide, and the defenseman Kravchuk got in there to block it. Cote with the shot. Now that went off late to the corner. He gets it again. He winds up right off. James Corson.
Don, what a play by Sandlak to create some interference at the Canadian blue line so Cote could keep the puck in. Once the puck was kept in, they were able to recover, control the puck, and put it by the goaltender. Beloshakin, the goalkeeper, hasn't had any work. Carson's right with nobody around him at all. Loose puck in the net, 1-0 Canada. Watch this, it's a bad rebound. Beloshakin goes down at a bad angle. Carson's right there smartly and put it in, but Sandlak had done the job at the Canadian blue line, creating interference so Cote could keep the puck in, and they converted that turnover into a goal. Good, serious teamwork by Team Canada.
That ties Shane Corson for the lead in goal scoring among Canadian players with Gary Roberts. They each have 6. Corson has come up with some very valuable goals, 2 against the U.S. Loose puck at the side of the Canadian goal, and there's a move by the Soviet player as number 10, Ravil Hyderov, bumped goaltender Craig Billington after he was down. He came right across him as he had frozen the puck in the crease.
Well, we mentioned that the Russian team leads the whole tournament penalty minutes. Well, there's actually a little follow-through as he's pushed from behind by the Canadian player Moylan. Nothing too serious, but they're aggressive. Don't let anybody try and con you any way different. They're as tough as any other team in this tournament.
Corson from Sylvain Cote at 6:36, the official on that Canadian goal. 1-0 Canada lead. Loose puck in the corner. Picked up by Roberts. Back to the line. Viveros couldn't get a shot on net. He played it around the boards to the other corner. Picked up there by Roberts. Roberts goes around to the other side. Viveros races in from the point, and he plays it around the board. Picked up by Laxdal. He goes to the other side. Roberts has it as the Canadian team manages to control it. Now it comes loose. Conroy couldn't get a stick on it, and it's brought out by the Soviets. Fedotov misses the check in the center ice area, and it's fired back out and touched a 2-line pass by the Canadian team. 12:36 is the time remaining in this first period with the Canadian team in front of the Soviets on a Shane Corson goal.
As chosen by the championship directorate.
Doubt where the sentiments of the majority of this capacity crowd at the Cops Coliseum lie in this gold medal battle, and wherever you're looking in across the CBC television network tonight, we hope you're enjoying the action in the World Junior Championship from Hamilton. Stopped back at the net, played up along the boards by Karkner, poked out into the center ice area. Cote could not get there. It's fired in on net, and Billington is forced to make the save. Cote, wheeling back of his own net, played it along the left wing boards, looking for Robitaille, too far for him. This will produce an icing call against Canada.
One of the few icing calls we've had in this hockey game. One of the defensemen, Kretchuk, is how you pronounce the Russian's name. He's a tall kid, not all that big. Plays well. Their defensive pairings have been together for a long time, Don. A lot of the players on this Russian team come from the center called Ufa, which is about 600 miles due east of Moscow. And they feel that with these youngsters coming in as units, they'd be able to form a better hockey club.
This telecast tonight being seen all across Canada, and it is also being beamed by a satellite back to the Soviet Union. Now it's Murphy, one of the keys for Canada, finding some room at center ice, working it across the line, but Peter Jervis had to put on the brakes at the blue line, and apparently did not stop in time, although the fans and Terry Simpson don't seem to agree.
Actually, I think it may even have been Greenlaw on the other side of the ice that didn't put the brakes on, because the problem is Sean Burke standing up behind the backup goaltender. You're allowed to have 3 goalkeepers on the roster. Kay Whitmore is the 3rd goalkeeper, not dressed, of course. He's one of these, the people in case of an injury. He's the 3rd one for Team Canada.
Odeline, one of 4 players with the gold medal winning team a year ago from Quill Lake, Saskatchewan, playing for the Regina Pats, drives it in. Greenlaw picked it up off the boards and got a shot on net. Odeline having a little trouble controlling it at the line. Finally, he pokes it in, and the Soviets' Konstantinov takes over in his own zone. 11:19 is the time remaining in this first period. 1-0 Canada lead. Here's a chance. Viazmikin fires it wide. He's one of the top-rated Soviet players. Loose puck in the Canadian zone as Viazmikin overskated it, and it's played around to the other side.
Now, when Bieberos was sidestepped by Viazmikin, Odeline came across. I think you'll see stronger teamwork by the defensive pairings, especially later on in the tournament like we're seeing now. You know, these players were just put together prior to the tournament. Now they're starting to feel better as units.
Puck in the Soviet zone, rink-wide pass. Oh, what a hit by Sandlak. Here's a chance for Nieuwendyk. Right in front of the net. And Sandlak couldn't get a stick on it. Cote with a shot. Loose puck at the side of the net. Nieuwendyk has it for Canada. Great opportunity for Canada. Set up by a tremendous hit by Sandlak, one of the holdovers from last year's championship team. Now in the center ice area, it's Nieuwendyk. Launching a check across the line. Another good move. And he lost control of it as Corson was breaking in with him. Seamak on the right side to Heiderov. Heiderov looking for Seamak. A shot right on. Billington knocks it high in the air. Tremendous action at the midway point of this first period. Picked up now by Elaine Cote. Back of the net from Moylan. Up on the left side. Too far for Corson. And it slides back into the Soviet zone. As Canada makes the change.
Great save by Billington with his glove hand. The referee Olsen letting this heavy body work go. He just calls mostly retaliation penalties. He doesn't mind this going out, seeing the heavy hitting.
Loose puck in back of the net. A jab away at it. Finally, it's pulled free. Cote loses it. Some help as the Canadian defender was covering up, and Conroy brings it out and shoots it down into the Soviet zone.
You have to give that Seamak some credit. He came back from being in the penalty box, Don. He was just nailed by Sandlak.
Kamensky in across the line for Osipov. He couldn't get a stick on it. The Canadian player, Conroy, comes back to poke it free. And for Canada now, it's Laxdal working down into the Soviet zone, trying to center it. Intercepted by Kamensky and cleared to center ice. 1-0 Canada leads with 8:50 remaining in this opening period. A goal by Shane Corson. And now we've got a penalty coming up against the Canadian team. And going to the box, a Blackstall. So the Soviets will have their second power play opportunity of this first period. 8 minutes and 47 seconds remaining as Canada attempts to defend the gold medal.
Blackstall takes the charging penalty for Team Canada. That's the second penalty of the period for the Canadians. The Soviets have not spent any time in the penalty box to this point. The Soviets don't have a player that scored more than one power play goal, and they have 8 on the hockey club throughout this tournament.
Blackstall, who joined this junior team from the Brandon Wheat Kings in the draft choice in Toronto. Penalty killing unit with Mellanby getting a shot on goal from that face-off. The Soviets throwing it around in their own zone. Mellanby controls it for Canada. He's bumped along the boards, and the Soviets go deep in their own zone trying to regroup. Some good forechecking and body work on the part of Scott Mellanby as he stepped into the Soviet player Osipov. Now Biazmikin wheels out of his own zone across the Canadian line. Drop pass for Galchenyuk. He fed it to the line, got a return pass in the corner. Galchenyuk leaves it there for Biazmikin. Biazmikin back to the net right up front. He tries to jam it in to the line and not out. From the other point, Tatarinov fired it, went off a leg. Bieberos tries to go back at the net to Odeline. Odeline plays it around the boards and down the ice.
Olsen's only had 4 or 5 shots, Don, but every one of them has been a severe shot. That last one, when Biazmikin came around with the puck, Billington at the point of contact stood on his feet, made a good save. Great penalty killing to this point again.
Tatarinov dumping it down into the Canadian zone, racing back after it is goal play. This is a landing ball against the Soviet Union.
Good look at Dag Olsen. You know, there was some concern a while ago that they did not want Olsen to referee in the Canada Cup. And the Team Canada people for this junior tournament game tonight wanted to get an American referee. The Russians had a right to veto that vote. They decided against it, of course. They put their vote in, no, or niet, I guess as they say. And they ended up getting Dag Olsen, a Swedish referee. He refereed the game between the Russians and the Americans earlier in the tournament. He called 12 minors in that game, 7 to the Americans.
One thing Terry Simpson stressed to his team was with a referee such as Olsen, he will call reaction penalties. And we have seen 2 reaction penalties on the part of the Canadian team in this first period. 36 seconds remaining in the penalty to Derek Blackstall. Play broken up at the line, and a good hit there as Conroy, only 5'7", stepped into the Soviet player Nikonov. And every member of this Canadian team in this first period has been throwing his weight around very effectively. Lead pass to the right side. Hyderov cutting for the net. He was unable to control it as he was sent flying. As a matter of fact, he goes right into the Canadian goal. It's cleared down the ice, and again, Canada will kill off this Soviet power play.
That was a super lead pass to keep him to the outside, and then bench showed emotion. They thought a penalty should have been called.
Stapleton lines up. That shot went off to Dotov. Stapleton gets it again. As it was centered, he tried to deflect it. He played for the Chicago Blackhawks. Some good hitting there on the part of Scott Mellanby, as he has really been bouncing those red-clad Soviet players around. Brought in across the line by Stapleton. Dropped it to Robitaille. He let a shot go. It goes loose back to the net. Mellanby bumps again with the Soviet player Tatarinov, but it's picked up by Fedotov. He feeds it out to Nikonov. Nikonov is stopped in the center ice area. 6:06 remaining. Lead pass for Nikonov to Seamak. Seamak working to the corner, trying to move in. It's poked away, comes back to the line. Nikitin takes the shot. That bounced off the player to the corner. Picked up by Bieberos for Canada into the center ice area. He takes the give and go in across the line. Another shot as the Canadian player Murphy came flying in there. And that just sailed wide. Canada has had the better scoring opportunities of this first period, and they lead 1-0. Now it's Robitaille trying to land another shot, but Belosheikin is down. The Canadian team coming close again. Now Hyderov trying to split the defense. He does. He was unable to get the shot away as Kote managed to lift his stick. Now it's Alain Kote, a pass over on the left wing as the Canadian team is making a line change. Soviets back into their own zone with 5 minutes remaining in this opening period. 1-0 Canada leads. Kamensky across the line, a drive off a leg to the corner. Sergeyev back to the net, out front. Kamensky tries to jam it, and Billington hangs on. for the gold medal in the World Junior Championship here in Hamilton. Teams undefeated through their first 5 games of round-robin play. The tournament taking place here in Southern Ontario, getting underway on Boxing Day, and it will conclude on Saturday. And on Saturday afternoon on CBC Sports Weekend, we'll have the tournament's final game between Canada and Czechoslovakia.
Tell you, Don, to this point, this is as good a first period I've ever seen in my life. Lots of body checks, great plays. They're showing sensational skill. This is just thoroughly enjoyable.
And, of course, a capacity crowd, and they are absorbing every moment of this fine action. Here's a chance for Canada. Conroy trying to get it in front to Laxwell. He was tied up by the Soviet defender and couldn't get a good shot away. A 2-on-1 break there for Canada that just failed to click. Now Laxwell steps into Kamensky. Osipov is forced back into his own zone. Now the Soviets bring it out with Monaenkov getting it to the line. He stopped there. Kartner's pass knocked down in the center ice area by Kamensky.
John, lots of forechecking here by Canada. They're just saying the one guy in after those defensemen for Russia. They're not getting trapped. They haven't given up 2-on-1s. They haven't given up 3-on-2s. That's when the Russians are more skilled than most teams because they're better passers and can score. Canadians aren't allowing those situations to arise here by not getting trapped deep.
Well, of course, the Soviets make that transition from offense to defense so quickly, and they quite often have knocked off Canadian teams with those 2-on-1 and 3-on-2 breaks. An offside at the Soviet blue line with 3:56 remaining in the period.
I was talking to a lot of Jim Sandlak's teammates with Team Canada, and I was saying, who is the team leader in the dressing room between periods? And he said, a lot of them say Jim Sandlak. Now watch Seamac, he's going to end up in the penalty box. Follow through by Sandlak. What a great body check. Moments later, he nailed Tatarinov. A great shift, but Sandlak, I'll tell you, when he matures as a person to play with men in the National Hockey League, the Vancouver Canucks have a big find there.
Davidoff trying to move in on goal. Sandlak bumping in the corner. The puck is loose. It comes back to Kovalev, and Kovalev couldn't get a shot away. It's loose at center ice, fired to an open wing, picked up by the Soviets. Davidoff brought it in across the line, couldn't go anywhere with it. Viveros for Canada clears it to center ice. It's loose there. Katarinov lost it to Shane Corson. He dumps it in on the left side for Sandlak, too far, and it's cleared to the line and dumped out by Kovalev. Now it's Davidoff across the line with Galchenyuk to pass over on the wing to Diaz-Meekin. Diaz-Meekin circling the net, unable to get a shot away. Back to the line to Tapanarov. Here's another chance for the Soviet Union as it's cleared to the side of the net and picked up by Newendike, and there's going to be a penalty for the Canadian team again.
Sandlak ended up nailing one of the Russian players, Diaz-Meekin, and I'll tell you what, there may have been a goal a minute ago, except for it hit one of the Russian players' skates. They're starting to come on a little bit. Not a good penalty to take for Jim Sandlak. Canada had 1-0. Meekin still on the ice being attended to by the training staff of the Soviet Union's junior hockey club. He was nailed from behind. You see a concerned look on the coach of the Russian team, Vasilyev. Meekin's a big kid. He was a player that was sent home last year because of disciplinary reasons. He is a great hockey player. Scouts are drooling about his play. Look at the check from behind by Sandlak. He came from outside by the blue line a good 50 feet before he nailed the Russian player. He appears to be all right.
Twice, Diaz-Meekin was reprimanded by the Soviet officials for drinking, and they say he's something of a free spirit. And the Soviet coaches recognize his extreme talent, so they have been willing in the past to condone some of his off-ice problems. And the fans react here as he comes back on the ice, and Jerry Simpson is up yelling at the officials.
I thought he was within inches of heading to the hospital, but it looks like he's back. He's not going to miss a shift. He's a big kid. We saw him practice this morning, and you're right, Don, they do call him the free spirit of Russia. In fact, he's supposed to be the player of his age that is the best in the world, and when he got reprimanded, it certainly tarnished his image.
So the Soviets have their third power play of this opening period. Canada in front by a score of 1-0. Konstantinov back of his own net. Gets Gets it up on the right side to McKeithen. He tried to play it ahead to Viasmeeken, and it was broken up by Stapleton, who did a good job of forechecking there for Canada. Viasmeeken now with a chorus of boos cascading down from the stands here at the Coliseum. Lost it at the line. Poked free by Mellanby. Mellanby in across the line. Mellanby circles back to his own